Mike Florio, 57 years old from Wheeling, West Virginia. I think he's an attorney, and I believe he's a Steeler fan. He says the court of public opinion matters in how the NFL deals with the suspension of Deshaun Watson. Now, keep in mind, he's an attorney. Keep in mind, he runs one of the biggest website, TV shows, whatever, that deals with football, and he has a Twitter account with millions of followers, and he talks about Deshaun Watson's case nonstop, putting a dirty light on Deshaun Watson, making Deshaun Watson look like one of the most vile human beings ever, with nothing to substantiate his claims other than accusations, in which 2 grand juries did not indict Mr. Watson. Now, being an attorney, you would think you would let the justice system run its course. Oh, wait, we already did that. No grand jury indictment. But Mike Florio has went out of his way to talk about Deshaun Watson, and not in a good light. It's not like, well, being a former attorney, these accusations, they're nothing but accusations. We don't know if they're true. No, he goes out and say there's no way the NFL can allow this man to play. He goes out and say the NFL has to suspend this guy. Could it be because he's a Steeler fan and he knows his team's in a 10-year, maybe 15-year window of never winning again? Or is it because Deshaun Watson's a rich African-American man who just signed one of the biggest contracts in NFL history? Because he's doing his best on his agenda. He has an agenda here. He says that the personal conduct, public opinion, it means a lot when the NFL hands down a suspension. And his agenda is to go on his TV show with Chris Sims and wherever he is, to talk about it, tweet about it, whatever. But it's to bury Deshaun Watson with nothing to substantiate his claims other than accusations. And being an attorney, you would think he would let the due process do its course. And when he speaks about it, so, Deshaun is accused of these things. We don't know if they're true or not, but when you listen to him, Deshaun's guilty, Deshaun's a scumbag, and he needs to be gone from the league for 2 or 3 years. That is an agenda. That is a guy trying to put the public opinion, and he has the platform to do it. Believe me. And, a lot of media members are doing this, not just Florio, but he seems to be one with an agenda. The other medias are doing it because they're not informed. And what's the old saying? If you're misinformed, you're not informed. But he has an agenda. He wants to bury Deshaun Watson. And I want to say it's because he's a Steeler fan, but I kind of think it's because Deshaun Watson signed the largest contract in NFL history and he's African-American. I want to think I kind of believe that's it. I believe Mike Florio has some skeletons in his closet. That's what it's looking like. Because as an attorney, you don't rip a man apart for accusations, especially when, let's call a spade a spade. 24 women are all represented by the same attorney. This isn't a fucking civil trial. It's a class action lawsuit. Like I said, I was in jail overcrowding Mahoning County Jail back in the early 90s. I got a letter in the mail said, hey, you may be entitled to a large sum of money. Were you a prisoner in the Mahoning County Jail from 1990 to 1992? And sure enough, I signed up on that class action lawsuit, all represented by the same person or the same attorney, whatever. That's what these women are doing. It's a class action suit. You would think an attorney would know the difference, but he has an agenda. And he's pushing his agenda out there because he wants to defame Deshaun Watson, make it everyone talk about Deshaun, he's scumbag, Jerry Sandusky, whatever. So the NFL suspends him longer. That's his agenda. I mean, if you watch his videos on his Twitter or even on TV, it's like, yeah, the personal or the court of public opinion goes a long way in determining the NFL suspension. And who's out there beating the drum, the largest for the court of public opinion on defaming Deshaun Watson with nothing than mere accusations? Mike Florio. That's all you hear from Mike Florio. Like I say, a lot of them do it, but he seems to be the one with the agenda. He's got an agenda. It's either he hates Deshaun because he's black, or he hates Deshaun because he knows his Pittsburgh Steelers are in a world of hurt. Because the Cleveland Browns with Deshaun Watson are legitimate Super Bowl contenders. But I got news for you, Mike. Even with Jacoby Brissett, you guys ain't beating us this year. But yeah, I do believe that Mike Florio's got an agenda. And I think it's obvious. The more you go through his Twitter and the more everything he writes and the more everything he says, his agenda is, let me keep the public opinion going with Deshaun Watson so the NFL has nothing more to do but to suspend him for a lengthy suspension. That's how Mike Florio's operating right now. And he's an attorney. You would think an attorney would know better. You know, hey, when you're an attorney, you let the law do its practice, unless you got an agenda like Mike Florio. Hey, Mike, you want to respond to that for me? Anyway, Michael. He also said something about he might have to fight somebody he'd been challenged to a fight on Twitter. Mike, I can tell you've never been in the fight. You look about 5'2". You look like Mike Brady. I mean, listen, my advice to you would be what Joe Walsh and his gang said in a song, walk away. Don't fight that young man because you ain't beating him. And do your due diligence as an attorney. Represent Deshaun Watson like a man. Don't bury a guy over accusations, you fucking clown.